Welcome back to the Audioverse Listening Library, where every word awakens the power within. A space for reflection, transformation, and personal growth. Here, we break down powerful ideas into calm, thoughtful journeys you can listen to anytime, anywhere. Today, we continue our deep dive into atomic habits by exploring Chapter 17 and Chapter 18. What if the key to lasting success isn't in working harder, but in choosing the right habits for the person you already are? In this chapter, we dive deep into the surprising relationship between your nature, your strengths, and the routines that shape your destiny. Chapter 17 focuses on one of the simplest yet most powerful techniques in habit formation, the habit tracker. James Clear illustrates how visual proof of progress keeps you motivated and helps habits become consistent, reliable, and automatic. Here's the essence. Number 1. Why tracking works. Human beings love to see progress. When you mark an action as done, your brain feels rewarded, which reinforces the behavior. A habit tracker turns invisible internal progress into something visible, tangible, and motivating. When you see a chain of completed days, your mind naturally wants to protect the streak. Number 2. Habit tracking creates a system of awareness. Most people overestimate how consistent they are. Tracking gives you a clear mirror, showing if you're actually living the habit you claim you care about. It turns vague intentions into measurable behavior. Did you meditate today? Did you walk? Did you read? Your notebook, app, or calendar answers honestly. 3. It's a built-in motivation booster. Clear explains that small wins drive long-term success. Every checkmark, tally, or tick on a calendar becomes a mini victory. This builds momentum, helping you push through low-energy moments. Progress becomes addictive in a good way. Number 4. Make tracking as easy as possible. A tracking system should be simple enough that you can use it even on your worst days. Examples: one line in a notebook, a dot on a calendar, a simple checklist app, a physical object moved from one jar to another. The more complicated the system, the less likely you'll use it. Number 5. Never miss twice. Everyone slips. Life interrupts. Habits break. Clear's golden rule. Missing once is an error. Missing twice is the beginning of a new pattern. If you fall off, resume as fast as possible. Perfection isn't the goal. Consistency is. Number 6. Tracking helps keep habits sustainable. When you see your streak, you not only stay on track, but also avoid burnout. Because tracking shows you when you're overdoing it, when you need rest, when your rhythm is off. It becomes a guide, not a jailer. Number 7. Habit tracking is a form of identity reinforcement. Every mark on the habit tracker is like casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become. When you check read, you reinforce, I am a reader. When you check exercise, you reinforce, I am someone who cares for my body. Tracking turns habits into identity statements. Chapter 17 teaches that habits grow stronger when they are measured. Tracking gives you discipline without force, motivation without pressure, and a sense of identity without forcing affirmations. You don't need perfection. You only need to show up. And each small mark on your tracker is proof that you're becoming who you aim to be. Let's dive into scientific viewing about this chapter at first, the psychology of habit tracking. Habit tracking works primarily because of dopamine-driven reward cycles. When you check off a behavior, the brain releases dopamine, not because the task is exciting, but because completion itself is rewarding. This is similar to the satisfaction of finishing a puzzle, the pleasure of crossing an item off a list. The streak. Effect used by learning apps. In neuroscience, this is known as the feedback loop of reinforcement. Next, moving on to the streak phenomenon, behavioral economics. Behavioral economists have shown that humans are naturally loss-averse. Losing a streak feels like a loss, and so people work harder to maintain it. This is why people walk outside to keep their step count streak. Language learners don't want to break a Duolingo streak. Even simple marks on a calendar feel powerful. Atomic Habits essentially applies this natural bias to personal growth. Last but not the least is self-accounting and awareness. Research on self-monitoring shows that people underestimate failures and overestimate consistency. Tracking eliminates self-deception by providing a neutral report, an honest mirror, a real baseline for improvement. This matches findings in cognitive psychology on metacognition, thinking about your thinking. We have just seen the scientific insight. Now we move on to the philosophical view. Philosophically, in Aristotle's view, we are what we repeatedly do. Habit tracking is a modern tool that enforces Aristotle's ancient idea. By marking daily actions, we see what we repeatedly do, thus revealing our true character. And according to Stoicism, the discipline of attention. Stoic philosophers emphasize daily self-examination, like Marcus Aurelius journaling his behavior, Seneca reviewing each day before bed. A habit tracker functions like a Stoic diary. It makes you consciously aware of your actions and choices. And in last, we discuss what Eastern philosophy says about Clear's writings, mindfulness through measurement. Zen teachings often stress present moment awareness. Tracking brings your attention to what you did, what you didn't do, how consistent your mind is. In other words, tracking turns habit into mindfulness practice. The author named B.J. Fogg of Tiny Habits emphasizes celebrating small wins, and James Clear emphasizes on tracking small wins. So together, they show that small progress plus small celebration equals powerful habit reinforcement. Also, the author named Charles Duhigg of The Power of Habit focuses on cue, routine, and reward. And adding to this, James Clear just adds the next level. Measure the routine to sustain the reward. It's like adding a scoreboard to Duhigg's loop. Besides, the author Brian Tracy often speaks about the importance of writing down goals and checking progress. His writing, 10 Goals Every Morning, method is essentially a macro-level habit tracker. Clear's chapter aligns with Tracy's idea that what gets measured gets improved. Furthermore, Cal Newport of Deep Work uses a depth log to track hours spent in deep work. His research confirms Clear's claim. Tracking creates accountability and pushes your mind to stay consistent. Let's move on to Analytical Insights number 1. Tracking is more powerful than motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Tracking is steady. This chapter argues that systems beat moods. You might not feel motivated today, but a streak makes you act anyway. Number 2, tracking versus over-tracking. A subtle insight. Tracking must be simple. If you track too many habits, the tool becomes the burden. Clear argues for few habits, high clarity, low friction. This aligns with minimalist productivity philosophy. No, the identity layer. Tracking isn't just mechanical, it's psychological. It slowly shifts your identity. Marking workout votes for I'm a healthy person. Marking read votes for I'm a reader. Marking create votes for I'm a creator. Over time, this becomes your self-image. To understand in better ways, let's have some real-life examples. Example 1. Fitness runners who track their mileage are more consistent. Even elite athletes use apps like Strava to maintain identity and rhythm. Example 2. Spiritual practice. People who are trying to build daily prayer, meditation, or scripture reading habits often use journals, rosary trackers, meditation apps. The streak effect strengthens discipline. Example 3. Financial growth. Budgeting apps track daily spending. Seeing patterns helps people break bad habits like impulse buying, late fees, overspending. Clear's principle applies directly. When you see it, you can improve it. Example 4. Learning and skill building. Language learners using streak-based apps study more consistently than those without tracking tools. Even musicians use practice logs. Example 5. Productivity. Writers often use word count trackers, habit calendars, journals. Even famous authors like Hemingway used daily word count chains, the same method Chapter 17 teaches. The truth about talent. Genes matter, but not the way you think. Chapter 18 explores the relationship between genetics, personal strengths, and the habits we choose to build. James Clear's core message is, your genes influence where you start, but your choices determine how far you go. This chapter isn't about limiting yourself. It's about strategic alignment. Building habits is easier when they match your natural strengths, interests, and biological tendencies. Here is the expanded version of Chapter 18. Number 1. Talent is the starting point, not the final destination. Every person has areas where they naturally perform well. These come from innate abilities, body type, temperament, interests, natural curiosity. Clear suggests that when we build habits in areas where our natural inclinations already point, we gain momentum faster. This doesn't mean talent guarantees success, but it means the right environment plus the right habit equals exponential growth. Number 2, the secret of high performers. They choose the right battlefield. Elite athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, and creators often look like they possess superhuman discipline. But the truth is simpler. They chose a domain that fits them. They found habits that feel energizing, not draining. Success is easier when the game matches your strengths. Choosing the wrong game makes even good habits feel heavy and unnatural. Choosing the right game makes habits feel like gravity works in your favor. Number 3, genes create advantages, but habits decide the outcome. The chapter explains that genetics can set upper limits, lower limits, natural baselines, but habits define where you land within those limits. Two people may have similar genetic potential, but the one who stays consistent wins. And even someone starting from a lower baseline can surpass someone more talented through persistent effort applied in the right direction. Number 4, the importance of fit. Clear introduces the idea of fitting the habit to the person. For example, some people thrive in competitive environments. Some perform better with solitary, quiet routines. Some prefer fast-paced habits. Others prefer slow, structured ones. Finding the right fit removes friction from habit building. Number 5, the Goldilocks rule revisited. The best habits sit at the just right level. Not too hard, not too easy. challenging enough to stay interesting. People naturally gravitate toward activities that provide this perfect zone of challenge. Your biology shapes which activities fall into that zone for you. Number 6, talent plus habits equals identity reinforcement. When you repeatedly succeed in an area that comes naturally, confidence grows, motivation increases, identity solidifies. The habit trains the identity, and the identity energizes the habit. This loop becomes powerful. Number 7, optimal habits amplify your strengths. The chapter concludes with this idea: don't chase habits that work for others. Chase habits that work for you. When your habits align with your nature, progress feels smoother, faster, and more enjoyable. As Audioverse's listeners, you all know that our audiobook transformative content is incomplete until we have its scientific and philosophical insights. So now that we have seen the internal view of Chapter 18 by James Clear, let's see the scientific side of it too. Number 1, genetics and behavioral tendencies. Modern genetics reveals that personality traits like risk-taking, patience, creativity, and sociability are partially influenced by DNA. This doesn't dictate your fate, but creates a range of natural tendencies. Atomic Habits aligns with this science. A naturally patient person thrives with long-term habits. A high-energy person excels with fast-paced routines. A detail-oriented person enjoys structured habits. Neuroscience shows that enjoyment and interest activate dopamine, making habits stick more easily. Number 2, biological rhythms. Chronobiology, the study of internal timing, shows that people have different chronotypes. Morning people, night owls, midday performers. Forcing habits outside your natural rhythm creates friction. Habits aligned with your chronotype become effortless. Number 3, the effort advantage theory, a psychological insight. People are more likely to persist in activities where effort feels rewarding, not draining. Your biology determines what feels energizing. This is why some people love running, while others find flow in writing or coding. Habits built on passion plus natural ability equals sustainable. Moving on to philosophical insights. At first, Plato, know thyself. Self-awareness is the root of all improvement. Chapter 18 is essentially a modern interpretation of this ancient command. You must know what excites you, what drains you, what aligns with your nature. Secondly, Confucius, the path of least resistance. Confucian philosophy emphasizes harmony, acting in accordance with your nature. This chapter echoes that idea. Habits should flow with your nature, not against it. Third is Stoicism. Focus on what you can control. You cannot control your genetics, but you can control choices, routines, environment. Stoic thinkers would say, play the cards you're dealt with excellence. Now, let's do some comparison with other authors. Number 1, Grit by Angela Duckworth. Duckworth argues that perseverance beats talent. Clear agrees, but adds nuance. Perseverance is easier when you choose a field where you have natural strengths. Also, Range by David Epstein. Epstein argues that generalists often outperform specialists. Clear's chapter complements this. The more you explore early in life, the easier it becomes to discover what fits your genes. Next is number 3. Carol Dweck, Mindset. Dweck champions the growth mindset. Abilities can grow. Clear blends this with abilities grow best where natural interest already exists. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, Flow. In his book named Flow, the author focuses that flow states happen where skill level, challenge level, personal interest intersect. Chapter 18 is essentially a practical guide for finding your flow zone. Analytically, at first, nature versus nurture is not a battle. The chapter argues that genetics are not a wall, they are a direction. Habits are the engine that moves you along that direction. Number 2, your strengths point toward your habits. Instead of forcing habits, Clear suggests detecting them. What do you already enjoy? What comes easily? What drains or frustrates you? These answers reveal where habits will flourish. Third is, build habits that increase your unique advantage. If you're naturally creative, build habits around writing, designing, idea generation. If you're analytical, build habits around data, problem solving, structure. You grow fastest where you're already planted. Last but not least, the hidden message: stop copying others. Many people copy habits from YouTubers, influencers, or entrepreneurs. Chapter 18 tells you you don't need their habits. Find your own. For example, Michael Phelps is known for swimming, whereas Hisham El Garouge is known for running. Phelps, in swimming, and Garouge, in running, both had elite genetics, but in different ways. Phelps had a body perfect for swimming. Garouge had a body perfect for middle-distance running. And think for a while, what if they swapped sports? Then both would struggle. Thus, the lesson is, find the environment where your strengths shine. You can also see the example of introverts versus extroverts. Introverts build better habits in quiet spaces, solo activities, reflective tasks, whereas, on other hand, extroverts excel with group workouts, collaborative learning, social environments. So instead of copying others' habits, it is good to find own, because matching habit with temperament increases consistency. A naturally imaginative person may find habits like daily sketching, writing exercises, brainstorming effortless and energizing, but struggle with repetitive, rigid habits. Also, some entrepreneurs love sales calls. Some love building products. Some love strategy. Some love networking. Their success habits differ because their natural advantages differ. Besides, a student who learns visually might build habits like mind maps, diagrams, flashcards, whereas an auditory learner thrives with recorded lectures, audio summaries, narrated notes. Thus, habit style must fit person. Thank you for listening to these chapters in our Audioverse listening library. Take a deep breath. Let today's insights settle gently into your mind. Remember, transformation begins with small steps, repeated with intention. If this episode brought you clarity, wisdom, or inspiration, feel free to continue exploring the next chapter. Until then, stay mindful, stay curious, and keep building the life you were meant to live.